one of the things that continues to be up front on our clients' minds and different ones that we talk to about annuities is just how safe are annuities really?
Yeah, and it is a big question, and there's some misconceptions. Let's start first with FDIC insurance.
Right, right.
It is not FDIC.
Annuities are not FDIC insured.
Yeah.
And there's another form of insurance out there that we're not allowed to talk about if we're trying to sell an annuity.
That's right. State law here in Illinois precludes us,
in most other states,
from, and let's just disclose, the state insurance guarantee association basically is a piece that's out there, and it's often confused with FDIC insurance.
Right, and it's not FDIC.
Because guarantee associations have caps or maximums like
the FDIC, and frequently I've had clients bring that question up to me. Well, what about the State Guarantee Association? And I've actually called our State Guarantee Association, Eric, and I've said, what should I do in a situation like this when I'm presenting an annuity and someone's asking me questions about the Guarantee Association? And one thing that they suggested, was, have them call us. Yeah. So call your State Guarantee Association. And one thing that you might want to be aware of is that these caps vary from state to state. And that's the difference between the FDIC. The FDIC is federal, and federal is absolutely going to guarantee the same for everyone up to $250,000 per account.
Insurance companies are regulated on the state level.
Right.
So each different state has a Department of Insurance.
Right. And
these oversees these.
In these states, I've seen anywhere from $100,000 up to $500,000. And here in Illinois, about a year and a half ago or so, it was changed to $250,000 on annuities.
Just to make it more confusing, because that was the same amount that the FDIC was.
Right. So, well, let's talk about what folks should be considering when they're buying an annuity. And we agree that the Guarantee Association is an added layer of protection, but that is not what you should be considering when you're buying an annuity.
First and foremost is the claims paying ability of the insurance company.
Yes, it is.
So it's being able to evaluate the insurance company and its ability to fulfill its obligation to you as a contract holder. And then the most common thing that people reference is third-party agency reports.
Right.
Now, of course, the question we get,
there's a lot of third-party rating agencies.
Which third-party? So you've got AM Best, you've got Fitch's, S&P, Comdex. So which one do you pick and why?
Right. Well, there's nothing wrong with looking at several of them. However, one thing that we fall back on a lot of times is AM Best, because they really tend to have been around for a good length of time, and that has been their specialty is not regulating, but evaluating these insurance companies, and they're very, very thorough. So, I like AM Best, but I'll also use some of the others.
Okay. Now, the question I get asked is, all right, now, I look at these reports, are they going to be in English? Or are they going to be in what? Well,
they truly are. You can actually go out to AM Best and you can put in the company's name and you can read a evaluation on it. And yes, they have some very in-depth reports that could bore you to death, and good reading to fall asleep to. But they also have summary reports, which are much simpler and straight to the point. And one thing that I would like to say that I like about third-party rating agencies is that in our experience, Eric, when we watch these companies that are doing really well, or the companies that are maybe getting into a little bit of trouble, that it's a very slow process as a rule, as these rating agencies look at these companies, and they may go from a positive outlook to a stable outlook to a negative outlook. This may take a period of years just to go through those three stages before they're actually downgraded. And so you've typically got time, before a company would go from, like, say, an A-rated company down to a C-rated company. So there's usually a period of years that would happen, and it gives us time to evaluate and make decisions.
Yeah, and most of these rating agencies it's not your standard grading scale that you've got in school, or your A, B, C, D, F. It's literally, you've got the A++. And when you're looking at those ratings, you have to really decipher. The first thing you have to do is look at the code itself and figure out what is good, what is excellent, where the kind of that transition stands. So if you start to see a company that drops down year after year, more challenge. But
Right.
you're going to see it move from an A to an A minus to a B plus plus to a
Right.
B plus to a B to a
Right, so you've got time,
Right.
and these rating agencies are basing this on changes in assets and changes in business climate and so many different factors. And I think that we need to touch on that because each of these companies are regulated by the state, they have a very strict type of accounting. It's called statutory type of accounting. And I look at it as kind of like a show me the cash type of accounting as compared to an accrual type of an accounting that might be used with the GAAP method, the generally accepted accounting practices, right?
Yeah. So it's they're not able to hide the money as well,
Right.
in a sense of moving it from one area
Hiding
to
the
the other.
expenses or hiding the state can come in and be very transparent with them, and they can see that the investments, the underlying investments that protect the client's assets and funds are what they should be, high grade investment bonds or treasuries, this type of thing.
The reserve ratio that insurance companies are required to have in order to basically just be in compliance
Yes.
with their state regulation dictates what they're able to kind of put in different buckets and how they're able to spend money.
Right.
But the key aspect there is they're going to be in compliance. The state comes in and they're looking at the books. If they're not in compliance, that's when the state starts to move in and take over.
Right. Unlike maybe a larger corporation that would get into trouble and have to file bankruptcy, typically if an insurance company gets into a little bit of trouble, the state is watching it way ahead of time. We have access to third-party ratings way ahead of time, and what will typically happen is all of those assets will be moved over to a more profitable company, and that's called receivership, when that company's put in receivership. And so the client's assets are protected and just moved to a company that's operating more profitably.
And that's the one thing you must understand is that annuities are about confidence and confidence in insurance companies.
Yes.
And the insurance industry understands that, because if there was somebody that lost money in an annuity, the whole industry
hurt the entire industry.
would have the down. So what we have is an industry that really self-polices itself on a big level, because they want to make sure that basically everybody's comfortable with these products and they're confident in their
Right.
ability to deliver on what they've been
And if you go out and you Google losses in annuities, losses in hybrid annuities, losses in indexed annuities, losses in fixed annuities. Now, variable annuities, it's different because you actually have an investment and you can lose money in that annuity.
Right.
But to lose money in a fixed annuity, an immediate annuity, you will find that if you Google that type of information, that it's almost unheard of that anyone has lost any substantial money in annuities, because it is one of the safest places that you can put your money in a retirement style portfolio.
So, to wrap it up, I think that's probably the best statement we can make, is that historically, annuities
Yes.
are one of the safest places to put your money.
Right. Agreed.
Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you.